It's Erica here again from Benoit Family Farmstead. We are still talking about canning, my favorite subject, and we're going to talk about which jars to pick out for whatever you're canning. So this is an important thing to know beforehand because you don't want to can something in a quart jar that you should have canned in a half-pint jar. Now you have a bunch of leftovers and all that work you just put into it was a waste. So let's talk about how I decide what to put in what size jar and kind of my thinking whenever I plan that all out. Sometimes it changes year to year. I'll learn more things, or I'll learn to do more things with my canned goods, and that will change what I decide to do. So we're going to talk about first the pizza sauce. So last year I canned pizza sauce in pint jars. This year I canned it in half-pint jars because last year I was wasting half of it. So the pizza we use doesn't really use much pizza sauce on it, and so this little pint jar, look how cute that is. This is a half-pint jar, sorry, and this will be enough for 2 pizzas, and a couple of the kids like to use it as the breadstick dip. So this is the perfect amount for all of that, and there's no leftovers. So I try to make sure that whatever is in this jar is going to get eaten, whatever. Anyways, so last year I had a ton of waste. This year solved the problem, and I made sure I canned up at least 52 of these jars so I can get from one year to the next because we have pizza once a week. So this was a lifesaver that I don't have to buy pizza sauce. That's one less thing that I've had to buy, and I know I don't have to buy it for an entire year. Very excited. Let's see what else is on the shelf. So here's another example is pinto beans. I like to buy dried pinto beans and I'll soak them. You know, you gotta cook them, the recipe's on the ball book, and then I'll make my own pinto beans. This is like the safe way to do refried beans, and Jared likes to turn these into baked beans too. So this is a cheap way to use beans. I do not buy like refried beans. I really try not to buy any beans at all unless I'm recanning the dried beans, because that's like the cheapest way to do this. So I keep 2 different sizes of these. So I'm going to overthink absolutely everything. So this is a lot of my mindset of how I'm overthinking the beans. So my canner will fit 18 of these, but only 7 of these. And so when I'm canning 18 of these, I'm getting more volume than 7 of these. But we're also eating 2 of these at a time, most usually, unless I'm adding it to some rice or something, then I don't need a whole quart of it. So I will do both. So time-wise, if I'm running the canner, I think it's like 75 minutes, then time-wise, I'm getting more done by canning the pint jars than I am the quart jars. But you also have to think about the cost of the lid. So that adds a little bit. So it kind of depends on if you're on a time crunch or if you're worried about the cost breakdown per lid. I overthink everything. I'm going to do that with everything. So those are 2 things to think about, is your time and the cost per lid and how you're going to use it. We will use either one of these. I just kind of switch it up each time. Let's see what else is here. Ooh, there's some mustard. So mustard I can up in, this is like a whole grain mustard. It's in the fancier ball book that I was telling you, the complete book. Yeah, so it's just whole grain mustard. It's just like the like the whole grains. Soak it in vinegar the night before, the next day, blend it up, heat it up, water bath can it. Super easy. The kids really like to, if you see the 2 dates on it, so you have to kind of let it ferment a little bit and it'll kind of be a more mild flavor later on. So this is handy for like football nights. We like to do crackers and cheese and mustard. It's kind of like a little treat for us. So that's one thing we can up in these little tiny jars. Let's see. Beans. I always can up in quart jars. Well, this is just what's going to feed us. Now we got to use 2 of these, but it's harder to can in a half-gallon jar. So those are for milk, and quart jar is the biggest jar I will actually can anything in. Potatoes is another thing. This is a quart of potatoes. Some night for like mashed potatoes, even big like potato salad, really anything that I need potatoes for, I will just use these. And a quart is usually, or 2 quarts will be what I need. Potato soup too. You have to wait for the potatoes to cook. Soups, like I have some like stew meat in there with potatoes and carrots and onions. Some other things. This is another meat that I canned up. This would be like for lunch, maybe for 1 or 2 people. But this would be good either to like throw in some rice for lunch. If I didn't have any leftovers or nothing was ready, then I just throw this and it'll be easy. See some other things that. All right, let's go for a walk here. Okay, so let's do like pickled beets. We're not gonna eat like a whole quart of pickled beets, so we choose to do that in pints. But chicken, I can chicken in the quarts because a pint just isn't quite big enough for our family. Chicken broth, quart. Think about your recipes too. So when I make rice, it's 2 cups of rice, 4 cups of broth or water. And so I like to use the quart jars for broth because that's what's going to make enough, for the rice. Throw it all together. Jellies, I used to can them in those little half-pint jars, but then we would eat them so fast that I have to can them in pint jars now. So we enjoy our jelly, but we also put it in yogurt. Which at first I was like, that's a lot of sugar to put in some yogurt, but then I thought it's in the store-bought yogurt, so I might as well have my homemade jelly, and I enjoy it. So we use that for that. Ooh, corn. This tastes just like store-bought canned corn. So it's not as good as freezer corn, but my freezers are completely full, and I'm canning up as much as I can to not use the freezer space. Bacon bits, I did this in pint jars. Next time I'll probably use half-pint jars. It's too much for a couple pizzas, but then the next day I'll have like half of this, and I can just kind of throw it in the skillet and make some scrambled eggs with it, and it's an easy breakfast. So I'll kind of see how we eat that down over the next year. Let's see, what else we got here? This is like a peach sauce, honey vanilla peach sauce. Pretty good. I probably should have canned it in that big of a jar. But again, it's good on yogurt. Any of the sweet stuff, I just throw it on my yogurt. Peaches, always can peaches in quart jars because kids are going to eat the whole thing. Let's see. This is like a chicken soup. This is good for if one of the kids gets sick and we need some chicken soup. Then I just put I'll just heat this up on the stove. I'll add in a few egg noodles, and we have chicken noodle soup. And the broth, that homemade broth from our chickens is really good. It's delicious, and it's healing for them too. And honestly, the kids prefer just to drink the broth than actually eat all the soup. So that was probably kind of a waste to do all that, but I'm going to use that as a soup base for like a chicken and rice soup. Then I just dump it in, add some rice to it, let the rice cook, and I got a meal. So I'll probably redo some of that into quart jars so I can use that as soup bases too. Some other things. Like relish, that's going to be in a half pint. That takes several times to eat all those. Jalapenos, I put these in a pint jar. We only go through a handful of these a year, but because it's pickled, it's going to last in the fridge a long time. Jared's about the only one that actually eats them. So that'll last quite a while for us in the fridge, and it's not going to go bad. So, yep, we probably toured. This video is getting long. I talk a lot. So think about, what you're going to use it for, how much you're going to use at a time, what your purpose is with it, and your time. All that combined together will help you decide how much to put, what size jar to use, how many to can up. Kind of think about all the factors. Again, I overthink everything. I think about every little piece of every little thing. But it works for us, and I have a cool basement with all this food. So, good chatting with you. I am excited. Hopefully in the next video or another video, we will actually get down to canning, which is what you guys are really looking forward to. So, we'll see you later.